Hello, space friends. Captain Snuggles here, back in X4 Foundations. I just hit 100 subscribers, and I want to celebrate with a big spectacle. So, I have assembled a massive armada for what I consider to be a humanitarian mission. We are going to conquer Earth and eradicate the Terran Protectorate. You might ask, how could that possibly be a humanitarian mission? Well, let me tell you. Outer space terrifies the Terrans, and their fear has made them the schoolyard bullies of the X-Universe. They created the Xenon through their arrogance and incompetence, and then they hid, cowering behind their jump gate for 500 years. And, now that they've re-emerged, they've only made things worse. They claim to be protecting the universe from the Xenon, but they have barely even scratched the Xenon's pate. Instead, they have waged relentless war against the Argon Federation, the Antigone Republic, and even the pacifist Boron Queendom. They aren't protectors, they're a menace, driven to xenophobic violence by their crippling fear of the void. I think that if space frightens them that much, they shouldn't be here. And so, for their own good, we will remove them. Forcefully. As a quick side note, you may notice a small element of propaganda in this pre-battle speech. This is the super late game, I need an enemy more challenging than the Xenon, and I like to justify the wars I wage. But is this war really justified? Have I convinced you that the Terrans need to go? Let me know in the comments. Now back to the speech. This mission will not be easy. Our last campaign drove the Terrans all the way back to their final stronghold around Earth itself. We allowed them to survive and rebuild, but they've taken advantage of our kindness. They've sent raids against our allies, deployed fleets into our territory, and amassed an enormous armada in lower Earth orbit. All told, they have over 600 ships in the inner solar system. To face them, we have assembled over 600 ships of our own. This is the finest fighting force in the universe, led by veterans of a dozen campaigns, prepared to do whatever it takes to bring peace to the solar system. The Terrans are cornered and terrified, but that makes them even more dangerous. Their ships are powerful, and they have the defender's advantage. We, however, have veteran pilots and superior strategy, and with those advantages, I feel confident that we will win. Alright. I have declared war on the Terran Protectorate and issued my initial battle orders. You can see the starting positions here. Now there will be conflict throughout this side of the universe, but we're going to stay focused on the main battles in the inner solar system here. My armada is starting here in the asteroid belt, and will have to break through Terran defenses at Mars, Venus, and the Moon in order to face the final confrontation around Earth itself. Now this video is going to stay focused on the main combat engagements and skip over everything in between. If you are interested in seeing anything I skipped, let me know in the comments. I will just make a couple of notes for now. First, just to keep things interesting, I'm handicapping myself by not bringing the Earl King or any Terran capital ships. I'm also trying to stay relatively hands-off, just issuing orders and watching the fireworks. I may personally pilot a ship at some point, but that is not my main focus. My main focus is entertainment. Now, my armada is moving. First into the fray will be
Colossus E.
my 6 standard task forces. They vary slightly from one to the other, but they all have more or less the same composition. They have 1 fleet carrier in command. They have 4 or 5 destroyers as anti-capital escorts. They also have a wing of interceptors, a wing of multi-role fighters, and several small defensive squadrons of gunboats and heavy fighters. Their job is to smash through the Terran perimeter defenses around Mars and Venus to clear the path for my 2 supercarrier task forces to reach the moon unscathed, where I expect them to face very heavy resistance from a number of Terran defenses, mainly an Asgard and its escort fleet. The supercarrier task forces are bigger than my standard ones, but they have the same sort of general idea. They're set up similarly, and they should be able to handle the Terran flotillas at the moon. Now, once that is done, I'm going to reorganize my forces for the main assault on Earth. Now then, I have ships preparing to jump into Mars right now. So without further ado, let's head over there and let the battle begin.
Entering Mars.
Perfect. Got here just in time to see the fighters launch. Look at that. Gorgeous. Never gets old. Absolutely never gets old. Now we're just facing a basic border patrol here, sort of a perimeter picket with a decent many escort fighters and corvettes, but only one capital ship, this Sin-class destroyer. I expect the escorts to get demolished by my flak batteries. This Sin could cause problems, take down a few fighters, and we want to avoid as many losses as we can, so hopefully we can take this thing down fast.
We found something out here.
My ships are piling through this jump gate. Just destroyer upon destroyer, carrier upon carrier. And their flak batteries are going to town on those escorts. Look at those fireworks. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that Sin is not long for this world. Maybe it managed to put up a little bit of a fight, but not anymore. It is getting demolished from all sides by capitals and fighters. And, well, this was the idea. A totally lopsided engagement here at the outer perimeter. Conserve as many forces as we can. Wonder if I have lost anything. As that Sin explodes. Alright, let's see. I do not see any escape pods, at least not from my side. I don't think we've lost anything against this initial picket, which is great. But the next target's going to be a tougher nut to crack. We have this Tokyo-class Terran carrier. It doesn't have any capital escorts, but it has strong shields, decent turrets, and a ton of fighters. It could take down some of my ships, so let's see. Alright. This Colossus has been sort of poking and prodding at the edge of the Tokyo's engagement range for a few minutes now. The Tokyo has not taken the bait, which was a bad idea on its part, because now the rest of my fleet carriers have shown up. And the Tokyo is going to be badly outnumbered. That said, the Colossus commander is just sending out one little squadron of fighters. These are Terran model fighters too. Looks like they've been sent on a desperate suicide run for some reason. They're just charging into the defenses of this Tokyo. Let's see if they can get something done. Like countermeasures, still getting hit by a missile. Second one misses. Alright, it's trying to strafe and dodge and weave, but oh no, that's... oh, maybe? No. But wow, yeah, this Colossus commander has a sick sense of humor. I like it. Sent in one little wave of Terran model fighters just to show the Terrans how quickly their ships explode. Little intimidation measure. And now is sending in the actual attack waves.
Tokyo.
Now, that little bit of psychological warfare did cost me a few fighters, which I don't love, but I do appreciate the gesture. Now the serious attack is starting. You can see my heavy fighters with blast mortars are starting to try to strip away the turrets and shields of the Tokyo, while my interceptors are trying to screen off its fighters. Tokyo is still very well shielded, and it does have all those fighters. But that being said, with all of my fleet carriers on the field now, the result is a foregone conclusion. Just still trying my best to minimize casualties. This is one of the Tokyo's fighters trying to get back into the docking bay for repairs, while the Tokyo tries to avoid some of the incoming fire. That is not where you want to be, dude.
Tokyo.
That ship is going to be exploding soon, and that fighter will explode with it. Almost certainly.
Ukraine. She.
It looks like the battle between my interceptors and the Tokyo's fighters is over, more or less, and the Tokyo is now just getting absolutely hammered on by all my fighters. And yep, that Tokyo is almost down. Almost down.
Tokyo.
Going, gone. It has a few more fighters and drones flying around, but not for long. I am already turning my attention to Venus and then on to the moon.
Entering the moon.
We're gonna have a serious fight here. My supercarriers are up against an Asgard and a ton of escorts.
Found something out here.
That Asgard is deadly, and those escorts are mad.
Sharp.
Listen to those missile alarms going off. My defense wings are already launching. My anti-missile batteries are firing as hard as they can. My shields are still getting chipped away at, though, and these ships have some beefy shields. Whew. Even lagging a little bit. It should calm down a little bit once the fighters are launched.
Incoming
There we
missile.
go. Man, oh man. This took no time at all to escalate into just a total brawl. Look at this, you can see my carriers are under heavy attack, but their Asgard in the back firing all those beams is also under serious attack back there.
Incoming missile.
There it is. Yep. Its escort Sin is trying to pick away at my fighters, as are its beam turrets. There's a big swarm around it. There's several escape pods, though. They're taking some down.
Incoming missile.
Wow, this thing has taken a lot of damage, though. That initial attack wave, those first strafing runs, took it down its shields by about half and whittled down its hull some as well.
Incoming missile. Asgard.
Carriers are still under heavy attack in the back. And the Asgard is actually not taking
Incoming missile.
as much damage now. That initial attack wave really did a lot of sort of alpha strike damage, a lot of burst damage. But now that its turrets are in action, they're sort of screening off my fighters. Now I chose Sharks as my supercarriers because they have the shields to survive one hit from the Asgard's Death Star laser, its main battery. But will this Asgard be able to actually bring its main battery to bear? With all these fighters around it distracting it, forcing it into evasive action, and with as just naturally slow as it is, I don't know. Looks like that Sin in the foreground is dead in the water. It's not moving at all. Still firing with some turrets, but it might not be long for this world. Pardon the screenshots. I'm always fishing for thumbnails, and, well, I'm only blowing up one Asgard today as far as I know. The Asgard is still maneuvering there in the background. It's trying to bring its main battery to bear. I don't know if it's going to work. It doesn't look like it's pointed in the right direction to hit carriers. No. No, probably not. And I said at the start that I had an advantage in crew experience, and I meant it. So this Asgard and its fleet are strictly a gate camp fleet. They just sit on this moon gate and wait for bad guys to come through. And bad guys rarely come through, which means these guys have zero actual combat experience. This is the first time that any of these ships' guns have been fired in anger. Whereas my crews are much more experienced. I've had a lot of training against the Xenon. And especially for capital ships, crew experience makes a huge difference. See, this Asgard is just flailing. It still has shield, still has a lot of hull, but its crew is panicking with the number of targets all around it. They cannot... they basically just can't stay focused enough to bring their main guns to bear on either of my super carriers. Which means that this battle is as good as over. Escort destroyers have regained some maneuverability. It looks like they're trying to move in against my carriers, but it's almost certainly too little too late. Here's the situation on the bridge. This guy is freaking out. See, I told you the crew's inexperienced. Look at this guy panicking, flailing back and forth. That was, of course, just the AI being weird, but I like to put a little spin on it. Oof. Yep. Not much to do here, but they grab a couple more screenshots as piece by piece this Asgard is getting dismantled. All of its fighter and corvette escorts are down. It has a couple of beam turrets still firing, a couple of defense drones still in the air, but that's not going to be enough. I'd be surprised if any more of my fighters went down at this point. But it's still firing. The Terrans may be in the wrong here, but you gotta give them credit for at least keeping those guns going to the last second. But now it's over. Flames are erupting out of the ship. Atmosphere is venting. With one last beam turret salvo, at Asgard is going down. And with that, that should be the main defenders of... Well, I spoke too soon. I was gonna say that was the main defensive force taken out, but now another Tokyo-class carrier is moving in to assist. A little bit too late as you see the Asgard finally explode completely in the background. This Tokyo is moving in nonetheless, already tangling with my fighters. Its fighters, though, really kick the hornet's nest, are getting absolutely torn apart. Just like this Gladius here, yep. There it goes. This Tokyo made a big mistake moving into two already deployed super carriers. This guy knows. This guy is sprinting away from the bridge. So fast he clips through the door, even. Oh, man. Yeah, I'd be running too if I were him, because that engine is destroyed. That Tokyo is dead in the water. An absolute sitting duck for my fighters. Just getting pummeled by blast mortars.
We found something out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I got kicked out of live stream mode there, but, well. You can look at the map and imagine what's happening. There are a couple dozen heavy fighters surrounding that Tokyo, just laying into it, tearing it apart. All its fighters are already down. This is a foregone conclusion. So I'm going to take this opportunity to engage my hospital ship and rescue some of my downed fighter pilots. This is how we keep our experience advantage over our enemies, is at keeping our pilots alive as often as we possibly can. let's observe the final moments of this Tokyo.
Ukraine.
My commanders are really dragging it out. As they've pulled the heavy fighters back for one more attack run, but now you can see those blast mortar salvos rocketing in, and yep, there it goes. And once those fighters lined up for their attack run, that Tokyo went down fast. And now this fighter is bailing. Unsurprised, it's trying its best to get away from the smoldering wreck of its flagship. Oh, but it's run right into a Thresher-class gunboat. And, well, made one last desperate attack run, but looks like that is going to be it for this fighter, which means that's going to be it for that Tokyo's forces. There it goes. Alright, now I think the moon might be ours. I spoke too soon again. My trade station is getting absolutely besieged by a carrier task force and a destroyer flotilla. I'm gonna need to deal with that.
We found something out here.
Okay, supercarrier should have the trade station good and defended. So we're going to check out this engagement between the leading wave of my fleet carriers, which is just this one Colossus and its escorts, and this pretty formidable flotilla of Terran destroyers. Yeah, I only have this one task force engaged right now, and on paper it should be outclassed. And this is pretty cool. We're going to see some actual capital-on-capital action here as opposed to just fighter engagements. My Teladi destroyers, the Phoenixes, are engaging the Terran destroyers. And on paper, this really shouldn't be a contest. The Phoenixes are badly outclassed. Again, on paper. But their fighter escort is way better. I have just about 20 fighters escorting the Phoenixes, and, well, their crews are way better. Yeah, look at this. This Phoenix has gotten a perfect firing angle on this Osaka. The Osaka's distracted by my fighters. It's even trying to use its main batteries to take down fighters, as the Phoenix just sits above it in a perfect firing arc. Phoenix's optimal firing arc is forward and below. And it's got this Osaka right where it wants it. The Osaka's firing back with some batteries, but man, it got destroyed. Absolutely destroyed.
Osaka.
Still on paper, these 4 remaining Terran destroyers are a serious threat.
Phoenix. E.
Look at that. Looks like a Sin off to the left there is laying into my Phoenix there. The Phoenix is actually responding quickly and pulling range. Once again, a feature of the experienced pilots is that they know when to cut and run, and they're a lot better at doing it. Meanwhile, you can see that Sin. Yeah, it's being shooed away by the escort fighters. Look at that, it had a great firing angle on my Phoenix, but then the Phoenix's defense fighters and the carrier's fighters
Phoenix.
all swarmed it, pushed it away, and now the Phoenix has pulled range and is getting back into a good firing arc. That's some good piloting. That's some really good piloting. You can see the difference in crew experience there. And look at this. As that one Phoenix brawls and the fighters brawl,
Osaka.
this Phoenix has gotten into a great firing position. Demolished that Osaka with its main batteries. This is looking like no contest here, and not in the way that the numbers might have predicted originally. this little destroyer flotilla from the Terrans got absolutely destroyed, even though it had a couple of minutes where it had the advantage
E.
on paper
Behemoth.
against my ships.
Sentinel.
But look at that. My destroyers are in just a semicircle around these beleaguered Terrans. The difference in crew experience and the fighter escort as well make a huge difference. The Terrans are pinned down, whereas my ships are free to move.
Behemoth. Sentinel.
All of them are at least engaging with plasma turrets. Some are engaging with their main batteries as well, just depending on how their commanders have chosen to engage.
Sentinel.
This is a master class in destroyer formations.
Engine.
Sin is up to something back there. Yeah, it is seeing the writing on the wall. It is trying to charge out of here, but it's surrounded. It's moving right into 5 Phoenixes. Jeez. It is doing the right thing and moving above them, though, trying to get out of their optimal firing arc, so it's only getting hit by 1 main battery. The Phoenix main battery is not that impressive. I doubt this thing is really breaking the shields of the Sin. But once again, distracted by the fighters, using its main battery on non-optimal targets. Yeah, shields are still looking fine, but now my destroyers are repositioning and getting more turrets to bear, and these shields should start to go down real fast, real soon. Yep. Another one engaging with its main battery, the rest engaging with plasma and fighters on this Sin now. Just realized this was not the right way to go. Just trying to cut and run, but too late. Way too late.
Spacesuit.
And its last 2 allies are exploding in the background. Those 2 Osakas went down at the same time. And now this is the last of the Terran destroyer flotilla.
We found something out here.
And it is no more. That was some solid work by my fleet commanders. And with that, the moon is finally ours, except for this one little patrol that looks like it's trying to cut and run anyway. Okay, a little bit of breathing room, finally. I need to try and regroup and prepare to push forward to Earth. Man, oh man. Alright. And I really need to prepare. Look at this swarm. This defensive, not even a defensive formation, a defensive blob. One of my trade ships that came under attack at the Moon Trading Station looks like it fled in here and just kicked the Hornet's Nest. The entire remaining Terran Navy has just swarmed down on it and are now just posturing around the gate, waiting for anything else to come in. But this is going to be a fight. This is going to be one hell of a fight. So I'd better really get myself ready. Oh man, I have to jump into that. Well, I promised you all a spectacle. Here it comes.
Entering system. Sol.
And here we go. I have reassembled my forces, gathered them at the entrance to the Earth's superhighway here, and reassembled the Armada for the terrifying battle that is just up ahead. The Terran forces, meanwhile, have also reformed into their combat formations on the far side, which is going to make this upcoming fight even harder. And so I am going to personally pilot my finest supercarrier, the Great White Shark, through the superhighway to clear the choke point on the far side. You will see why here shortly, I am sure. But there's our target, dead ahead. And that pale blue dot right in the crosshairs. It's just one jump away. This is going to be tough. I have to take my ships through one at a time, and the choke point on the far side is heavily guarded. Terrans have an extremely strong defender's advantage. So I need to blitz through.
Entering Earth.
And I have done that, rocketing through at 5 kilometers a second, and now turning it back over to my pilot to carry out his orders. Now, a lot of things are happening at the same time. I have blasted through the gate. The Shark is already automatically deploying a string of fighters behind me, and the Terran fast response interceptors are already reaching out for me. I need to get more forces through the gate before I am completely overwhelmed. So next up is my second supercarrier, the Tiger Shark, as well as one of my standard fleets. I cannot bring too many ships through all in one go. They have to come through one at a time, like I said, and if I send too many, oh well, bad things happen. Now, fair warning, this is going to get real laggy real fast. I'm deploying 400 ships, give or take. Terrans are deploying about 300. We're going to have about 700 ships all firing at once. The frame rate is going to be terrible, but it will be a spectacle, for sure.
Incoming missile.
Now, the fighter swarm has already caught up to us. Look at that exchange of fire. My short-range batteries taking down fighters and missiles, and them giving back as good as they're getting.
Incoming missile. Guppy.
You can see on the map there the stream of fighters reaching out for me. My escorts are coming in. They've already launched their fighters. They're moving in to assist.
Shark.
And there comes the Tiger Shark. Got through nice and quickly. Oh. But it immediately got clipped by one of its own escorts rocketing through the gate. It hit by a full-sized capital ship going 5 kilometers a second. It was sent spinning. So I found a more stable anchor point for my camera. Yeah, that's a bad start for the Tiger Shark. It is damaged and drifting out of control from that impact, and that is why I did not want
Shark.
the NPC pilot to bring the Great White through. Oh no, there comes a Colossus. The Colossus is shaped like a fork. It has 3 prongs, and it will just rocket through, pin ships in those prongs, and carry them. Looks like they've bounced apart, but that's a rocky start. They've both taken shield damage and are temporarily out of control. But the Tiger Shark has regained control, it looks like, and has a Ray destroyer on this side of the gate, laying down ion flak. With that, I can bring a couple more fleets through. Even with both my supercarriers and one fleet carrier on this side, I'm still badly outnumbered, and their shields are already low from those impacts.
Incoming missile.
You can see this swarm, and there are those frame rate drops I was talking about.
Incoming missile.
There must be at least 100 Terran fighters swarming the Great White, and it has about 90 fighters sent out in response. So this is a lot, especially with everything happening in the background. Get a nice slow-mo pan of the battlefield as viewed through the Shark's bridge. You can see fighters duking it out right outside. Fight is right on our doorstep.
Incoming missile.
Explosions going off. I was hoping that was a Terran, but it looks like that was one of mine. You can see those are red notifications. My fighters are dropping like flies. We are badly outnumbered on this side of the battlefield. I have to get more support. I have just the ship coming in. This was featured a couple videos ago. The H, the Xenon Destroyer. This is a great anti-fighter platform.
Incoming missile.
Oh no! But it came through the gate together with a Phoenix. Oh no, they're tangled together, smashed up already have destroyed components. Shields are gone. Oh no. Good thing the H has good shield recharge.
Incoming missile.
What a terrible start. At least I got the Great White through unscathed to form a bridgehead. If I hadn't done that, that'd be trouble. Now I'm going to try and get onto the bridge of the H. It's going to cause even more frame rate drops as I teleport, but I love the view from inside this ship. This is the place to be for spectating battles, especially as this ship is going to absolutely shine taking down the Terran fighters. Now off we go. Defense drones are launching. Turrets are firing. Shields are recharging. Okay. With the H and the escorts all engaged, I think the Great White can stabilize on this side of the battlefield. Although it's still going to be a tough call. It'll be a very close fight. Trying to find a more stable camera position. It's at least a little bit less jittery. Frame rate's still bad, but you can see the action happening in the background. Silhouetted by this verdant blue planet, there's this insane melee going on. And this is only half the fight too. This fight has become very spread out on what we call the north-south axis. We're looking north now towards Earth, and back towards the acceleration gate is south. The camera's in about the middle of the fight, so we're seeing the north half. This crazy fighter brawl around the Great White. But we should have more happening south around the acceleration gate. Yep. Fewer fighters down here. Fewer of my fighters anyway. It looks like more capitals. Oh man. That is a spectacle. It's a 5 FPS spectacle, but it's a spectacle. Let's see if we can get eyes on the south side capital engagements.
We were hit.
Just in time to see the flaming wreck of a resupply ship. As this Phoenix looks like it's taken some damage, it's backed out, it's trying to re-engage. We're now at the very south end of the fight, looking north. Look at all that action in the background. Alright, let's see. I see another resupply ship. I see a Tokyo, at least one Osaka, and at least one Sin. Meanwhile, this Phoenix's turrets are going to town on the fighters that are trying to swarm it. Yeah, I have a good capital presence on this end, but my fighters, I think, are outnumbered. So the Terran fighters are working on my capitals. Hang in there, Phoenix. We will get more fleets through.
Phoenix. E.
Alright, here we go. This is a good vantage point right here. So again, we're at the south end, looking north. Lots of capitals brawling on this side. Lots of fighters besieging my super carriers on the far side. I'll hush up for just a moment so you all can enjoy the spectacle.
Requesting immediate backup.
Black batteries going to town in the background. And the north end fight still absolutely raging. That is a brutal melee up there. Alright, let's see how the H is doing. Beautiful as always. FPS might be going up slightly, but we're still getting a nice slow-mo treat here. See the dogfights happening all around us. The seismic charge turrets going off, blasting some fighters into oblivion, I'm sure. The wrecks are already piling up out there. And they're not all Terran either. You can still see those red messages popping up at the bottom left. That's a Terran, though. Blasted by a dozen turrets. Those red lasers, though, I think are Terrans that deployed laser towers. They're going to be a constant thorn in my side. I think we might be starting to win the fighter battle up here. I see a lot of escape pods on the south side, though. A lot of bailed out pilots. I need to send in some reinforcements. Grab 2 more standard fleets. Send them in. 1 to each side of the gate. Hopefully that can turn the tide down there.
Requesting immediate backup.
Requesting immediate backup.
Wow. I know the frame rate's low, but look at those wrecks piled up. Look at that melee that's still going on. This is a serious fight. We're only looking at one corner of the overall battle. This is still an insane fight. We do seem to be gaining the upper hand. And down there I'm seeing a lot of Terran capital wrecks. I think we might be winning down there as well. See a Condor over there with 2 blasted out engines, just barely maneuvering, so my ships are hurting. There's a Sin back there just laying into one of my Phoenixes. Phoenix is pulling range though. They've been so good about that. Look at that in the center of the screen. Phoenix with about 90% health on its hull, no shields,
Immediate backup.
taking damage and pulling away. Beautiful, love to see it. So we're looking down there at the south end of the fight now. See if we can get eyes on this Sin. Possibly the most dangerous ship they have on that end. We're getting a little bit of a 2-for-1 as there's an Osaka crowding the foreground. Sin in the background, then a burning Osaka wreck back there as well.
Requesting immediate backup.
Tokyo in the background, taking sporadic light fire from the destroyers. The resupply ship burning even farther back. Looks like that got taken down. So they have very limited means of repair. Still, they have some healthy ships remaining.
Requesting immediate
Wonder how this lady feels about the fight, looking at the burning destroyer just above her head. Probably sensing the tide of battle turning against her. She's probably reconsidering her life choices right now. Another Osaka exploding in the background there. Alright. Taking a look once again from the north end of the fight, looking south. I thought things might have been slowing down back there, but that fight is still raging. Good lord, it's gotten even more intense from before. Terrans are not going down without a fight.
Sin.
Oh no. I pan back to this Sin just in time to see it getting blasted by the main batteries of, what, 4 or 5 Phoenixes. They're not going down without a fight, but they are going down. They're absolutely going down. Let's see if we can get a good shot of this Sin exploding as India rotates by in the background. Oops. There we go.
Requesting immediate backup.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. Alright, let's check the state of the battle. It looks like it is no longer a battle, it is a rout. Terran escape pods and distress drones are fleeing back to their stations. I don't see any meaningful Terran force left. So I'm going to start rescue operations for my many downed pilots. Look at all those wrecks. Some are definitely mine. I feel reasonably sure they're mostly Terran. That was a tough engagement on the north end here. Looks like my Shark even lost shields at one point. It's at 99% hull. Got very close up here. My gunboats have to navigate through all these burned out wrecks just to dock back up and resupply. Still hear my turrets firing in the background. There's something left fighting out here. But it looks like it is down. I can just faintly see it burning up there. Alright, let's survey the battlefield. Still a couple of mop-up operations going on in the center and in the south. That is a lot of Terran wrecks. Yeah, a couple of laser towers still giving me problems. But it looks like at this point it's mostly just individual stragglers getting chased down. And there's one there. It looks like a laser tower is getting blown up. There we go. And similar things happening throughout. Just mop up at this point. Looking like the day is ours. It's dicey there for a few minutes, but the Armada did its job, especially the Great White. This would not have gone well without that initial maneuver, without the Great White taking all that fire for the rest of the fleet, pulling the Terran fighter escorts away from the gate. I think that was the winning maneuver there. There's still a Terran capital ship back there. Those blue shots, that streak of blue in the background, that was absolutely a capital ship. What is going on? That's looks like an Osaka attacking one of my Condors. Wow. This might actually be Earth's last stand.
Condor.
Putting up a fight right at the very end. Did some damage to my Condor, but now it looks like Condor has pulled range. The fighters are taking their toll. Panned over just in time to see the engines explode on the Osaka. Might not even have any turrets left. Let's just watch its last moments. Ouch. You could hear the ship's frame buckling. I felt that one in my soul. But even so, with its destruction, the day is ours. The Armada can regroup, repair, and reinforce. Most of our capital ships are damaged, and we lost nearly 100 smaller ships, but that is a small price to pay to bring peace to the solar system. There is still some work left to do to finish our humanitarian mission, but with the Terran Navy eradicated, we can do all of that at our leisure. We can safely demolish their orbital stations, build fortifications of our own, and set up patrols to keep the Terrans on their rock where they belong. Because we are the good guys. And with that, I will end this video. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought, and thank you for watching and for supporting the channel. This is a pretty casual little hobby for me, but even so, it is nice to have fans. I really hope you enjoyed this grand spectacle. I hope you will tune in next time, and until then, this is Captain Snuggles, signing off.